For the last 10 days, if you knew where to look on a civilian tracking app, you could watch a giant move across the map. A 100,000-ton icon of American power, steadily streaming west from the Strait of Malacca.
It's kind of hard to miss. But as of 48 hours ago, the Lincoln is gone.
Welcome back. As of the recording of this video, it is late January 2026.
Now, ships, even warships, usually keep their automatic identification system, or AIS transponders, turned on while in transit.
It's done for safety, to avoid collisions in crowded shipping lanes.
Risk.
A calculated risk, and going dark.
When a carrier deliberately cuts that signal while heading toward a conflict zone, it's not a glitch, it's a statement.
To understand why they pulled the plug, we have to look at where they are going.
Iran is currently experiencing its most violent internal upheaval in decades. Following the brutally suppressed protests of January 8th and 9th,
where reports indicate that thousands of demonstrators were unalive by IRGC forces. The geopolitical temperature has snapped the thermometer.
Now, let's be clear about something. You don't send an armada just to patrol.
And you don't turn off your transponders if you're just there to show the flag.
By going dark, the Pentagon has shifted the Lincoln from a diplomatic tool to a tactical weapon. They're moving into what the Navy calls EMCON, or emission control.
they are attempting to deny the Iranian military a fixed targeting solution for their long-range coastal missiles.
A supercarrier vanishing from the map in the Indian Ocean usually means one thing. Tehran has no idea exactly where the hammer is going to fall.
In naval warfare, your greatest strength is also your greatest vulnerability.
A supercarrier is a floating city that virtually screams electronically. It broadcasts its position through radar, radio.
What that means is that it can be somewhat tracked by publicly available apps like Flight Radar 24 or Marine Traffic.
The Lincoln going ghost mode is like holding your breath in a room full of people that are hunting you.
The selective silencing of every electronic signature. For the crew of the Lincoln, this means no personal emails home.
No non-essential radar, and most importantly, no transponder. The sailors and Marines currently aboard CVN-72 have gone completely dark.
But here is what we know so far.
On January 8, 2026, the Lincoln was stationed in the South China Sea, acting as a check against regional maritime disputes.
But as the January Revolution in Iran turned bloody, the order came from the Pentagon.
The USS Michael Murphy pushed its nuclear reactors to maintain a high-speed transit. On January 19th, ship spotters in Singapore saw them.
A wall of gray steel moving through the Strait of Malacca. But once it hit the open water of the Indian Ocean, the Lincoln vanished.
Now, it's important to note that the Lincoln is uniquely equipped for this specific fight. Iran has spent billions on its bubble of denial, the Resonance-NE radar network,
and their Khalij Fars anti-ship ballistic missiles. If the Lincoln keeps its transponder on, it's just a target on a screen for a drone operator.
By going dark, the Navy is forcing Iran to turn on its own search radars to find them. And in the world of modern electronic warfare, the second you turn on that radar to look for a ghost...
It's important to note, the Lincoln isn't hiding. It's hunting for gaps in Iran's defenses. But the U.S. Navy didn't just wake up and decide to play this game.
They're following a playbook that was successfully tested just a few weeks ago on the other side of the planet. To understand why the Iranian regime is currently panicking over a silent aircraft carrier, you've got to look back to January 3rd, 2026, known, of course, as Operation Absolute Resolve. I've done a whole video on this, and you can watch that after this one.
For months, the USS Gerald R. Ford, the world's most advanced supercarrier, had been loitering in the Caribbean.
Much like the Lincoln today, the Ford used its presence to project deterrence. But on the night of the 3rd, deterrence became a kinetic reality.
The Ford didn't just launch planes, it launched a total electronic curtain.
The Navy completely blinded Venezuela's Russian-made S-300 air defense systems.
Eyewitnesses in Caracas reported that the power went out, cell service vanished, just minutes before Delta Force helicopters touched down at Maduro's compound.
The result was the same. A head of state was snatched from his bed and flown to a U.S. warship. But the Ford's role in that mission also revealed a bizarre vulnerability that has become a legend in the Navy.
Despite being a $13 billion marvel of engineering, the USS Ford spent the entire Maduro operation battling a literal mess.
Fortunately, its advanced VCHT plumbing system was failing so frequently that sailors were reportedly spending thousands of man-hours every month just to keep the toilets from clogging.
It's a strange paradox that we find ourselves in 2026. A ship that can blind a nation's military can be brought to its knees by its own sewage system. Why does this matter for the Lincoln? Because Operation Absolute Resolve proved that a modern U.S. carrier is no longer just a base.